Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 7 of my audio adventures. So last episode was a little kooky. I couldn't speak worth anything, really. Yeah, so I've just been very, very busy these last 2 weeks. And on top of that, lots of weird stuff. Just, life. It happens. So, today, I am going to talk about what I'm currently working on. I started working on a horror theme. A friend of mine asked if I would work on a horror theme for him. Or not for him specifically, but just he wanted me to work on a horror theme because he found some really cool horror music that he was listening to. And so, heeding his request, I have taken it upon myself to make a horror theme. And I was originally going to do it like I've been doing the trailers. I was going to find a trailer for a horror video game and write music to it. But there weren't any trailers that really interested me or that would be easy to fit a lot of music around. So I just decided to kind of wing it. And so today is going to be probably a 2-part episode. I'll record the whole thing, but I'll have to edit it a little bit separately. One of the parts is going to be about talking about the horror theme itself. The other part is going to be talking about iZotope Iris, which is heavily used in this. And I remember saying that I was going to discuss it, and I haven't gotten to it yet. And so this is probably a very good time to do that. So, what I did was exactly what I did when I was showing you guys how to set up a trailer. And that was I made a template of all the instruments that I thought I was going to use. My list was actually a lot longer earlier. And then once I started kind of getting my theme going, I decided that there were a number of things I didn't need. So, what I have are French horns, violins, cello, and double bass. Those are all actually being used, actually, except for the cello. The cello was being used, and then I changed my mind. Bass drum, which is not being used a lot, but you'll see what it's being used for. I'm probably going to delete this, so don't worry about that. Ambient contortion, and psycho effects and radiostatic anomaly, and the canoon. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's the instrument kind of heavily used in the Sherlock Holmes movies. In fact, let me just get this out. Don't really know what it looks like because I have yet to actually Google it. I will probably do that soon. There are a lot of instruments that I don't know what they look like, despite the fact that I use them a lot. So all of those are from the Play sound libraries that I like using. And then I have 2 instances of iZotope Iris. Now, for those of you that don't know, iZotope Iris is a more like a sound design software, as opposed to like a synthesizer. You take a sound sample, of which it comes with a whole bunch, and you can buy others, or you can use your own that you've recorded, and then essentially what it is from the bottom up is frequency, from low to high, from left to right is time, and then the brightness measures velocity, not counting the dotted lines around here, because those are areas I've selected. And what you can do with these is essentially you can carve out separate frequencies. And so I've got a few different sounds, as well as a sub, which is essentially just noises that you put in the background. So like this is just a generic sine wave, which I've been using as a pad. And you can have up to 3 sounds plus a sub all mixed together. You can then put a low frequency oscillator on it. You can change the pitch, give it more attack, delay, sustain, release, all the normal stuff. Plus then you can have master effects that affect everything. distortion, chorus, delay, and reverb. And then you can place where the bass pitch is, and the bass pitch being which key the original sound is going to come off of. And then if you play a note any lower, it'll go slower to compensate. If you play a note any higher, it'll go faster to compensate. Or you can make it so that it stays the same speed, but then it'll use up more computer processing power. All right. So with these tools under my belt, I went outside and I took a walk down the street. I recorded a bunch of things, and I ended up using 3 of my recordings. So one of these iZotopes, this one is using all sounds that I was given, that came with the software or was given to me later through the same company. And the other one is using all sounds that I recorded, and I will show you that in a second. So after I created my template, this time I started with the sounds, because the entire basis for me doing this was to create horrifying sounds as opposed to an actual song. And so what I did was I used the 2 instances of Iris to create some very spooky sounds, and then I put them at 2 separate ends of the song, quote unquote, and then I put music around it. So using as a basis to make sure that there's just sound going on no matter what, I have the double bass just playing drones all throughout the piece, but shifting so that it's not sitting still for too long. And then I've got the Canoon just playing individual notes here and there, no real structure to it. And then ambient contortion to also have some ambience going on in the background when it's quiet. And then you'll see what the French horns and violins are doing. So, a little bit of education. I haven't done a horror theme before, so I listened to a handful of things, mostly themes from video games, as well as a couple songs that I really, really like Requiem for a Dream. If any of you have seen that movie, you should, and then you should never watch the movie again. But aside from that, it's a fantastic movie. But it's creepy as hell. Which is why, it's such a good thing to watch when you need inspiration. And then other inspirational sources came from, Half-Life 2. If any of you have played Half-Life 2, you will probably remember the Ravenholm level. Yeah, that's creepy as just about anything in existence. So some common themes that I found is not so much the amount of noise, but the lack of it. And although I don't necessarily use silence to its fullest extent, in fact, there's always something going on in this particular piece, it's still worth noting that silence can be very eerie. And then on top of that, dissonant chords. For those of you that don't know music vocabulary, dissonant means notes that clash, essentially. So like notes that are right next to each other, like A and B or A and B flat. That would be dissonant. So dissonant chords, or no real chord structure at all. I mean, a minor chord is creepy and depressing, but it's even more creepy when you can't really make a set structure out of something. Which actually brings me to what I was using the bass drums for. Way back here somewhere. Right there. Is what's creepier than no structure at all is then having some form of structure that you weren't expecting. So like in this particular case, I've got bass drums acting as a heartbeat, but very, very far into the end of the piece, or what is currently the end of the piece. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I've got right now, and then I'll explain it. Alright, that's what I got to so far, about 2 minutes worth. So, back to the education. From what I can tell, and I'm not an expert on this, but I'm going to take a guess. From what I can tell, what is important when it comes to very creepy music is the chill factor and the thrill factor. Chill being the kind of thing that sends shivers down your spine, or makes you very aware of what is going on around you, or creeps you out. And the thrill factor is basically anything surprising. I was mostly going for chill factor with very low amounts of thrill. Now what's chilling? As I said before, dissonant notes, very loud, like nails on a chalkboard kind of thing, as well as creepy crawlies. Lots of people are afraid of creepy crawlies. And one last thing is the distortion of something familiar. So a very prime example is what I'm doing right here, is cutting out a vast majority of the mid frequencies of me blowing bubbles into a iced coffee. Blowing bubbles into an iced coffee is not creepy, but once you modify all the sounds as such, it becomes something a lot more sinister. Same thing with noises from outside, and same thing with my window fan. My window fan is really creepy. My window fan is really creepy without taking out any frequencies, let alone carving out a vast majority of the frequencies other than these 3 sets. So, another thing to add to the books of how to make creepy background music.